Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey there, hi there, oh there. This is Ralph Hayes Jr., RH Junior Reality Check, coming to you live over the internet through a series of tubes known as the boob tube we call YouTube, bringing you another contribution from my desecration of the internet, a little thing I like to call Spleen Squeezins. Can you feel the drama? Can you feel the love tonight? Ah! Honk, honk. Oi. Hey, guess whose birthday it is? I'm 49. Crap. Uh, where? I'm 49. 49 is the sucksores. Okay. If it was 50, it's one of those years that 49. It's like you're almost there, even if you don't know where you're going. But if you're 50, boom. That's nice round numbers. It's a landmark. You've managed to not die for 5 decades. Break out the punch. But 49, it's like, just hold out 1 year longer. I wonder how many different things I would qualify for if I was 1 year older. One of those things. I love how I love how there are all sorts of services and stuff out there. If you're 60 or older, if you're 70 or older, if you're 50 or older. But hey, guess what? I'm 49. I fall just like almost sucker, almost. But zippity doo dah. Ordered in a little bit of ordered in basically I ordered in some groceries and ordered a little cake, a little 1 layer cake, and some fried chicken and a watermelon and some soda pop. Yay. And so, uh, I didn't order all that much, and it still cost me almost $100. And prices are going through the roof out there. It's turn that music down. Never know quite how how loud to keep the music, but yay. Haven't gotten too much. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain blah 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 BS BS BS. Feel a little bloaty. And a big chunk of that cake. A couple pieces of fried chicken. Wasn't really hungry. I just it's my birthday and I wanted to celebrate. And now I'm really not hungry and still got a sizable portion of the piece of cake I cut off sitting there looking at me. That sounds like me swallowing a big jug of milk, big mug of milk, brought to you by Spleen Squeezin. So, how's every little thing? I've been ticking around with pre-recording stuff, seeing about doing that speed painting routine. I've gotten to the point where I record myself drawing something, and now I'm trying to figure out how to speed the drawing up and edit the video. I'm like, this looks like work. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it no more. It's not my fun anymore. I don't want to do it. It's boring. It's like even. Oh man, it's gone beyond sad out there. Marvel Comics has okay. I remember when the New Warriors, the title when it first came out. I remember when it first came out. I was like a teenager, and I was lit for this because it was new superheroes, new stories, new ideas. I remember. Let's see, it was Nova, Speedball, Firestar, um, Kid Marvel. He was a kid with telekinesis, and Night Thrasher. Picture the Punisher and Batman on a skateboard. That was Night Thrasher. It was that era, you know. That's so dorky, you know. Have somebody come at you with a skateboard that pops out a razor blade along the front and see how much you laugh. most people most people discount. I mean, sooner or later, everybody's going to be making fun of parkour in the same way that they make fun of skateboards and roller skates. Now, I'm like, doggone people, think about it. One of the big things about superhero stories is mobility. Okay, most superheroes, superheroes fly, some have super speed. Spider-Man swings around on web lines. Do you know how useless web swinging would be in the vast majority of scenarios? You know that the guys who wrote this comic live in New York because that's about in a big city like New York is about the only place where there's enough vertical stuff to justify trying to get from one end of town to another by swinging on web lines. But any type of street hero would be constantly on the lookout for some means of hauling his butt from one end of the city to another. And if he was smart, he wouldn't be using a car, not in a city like New York. Uh, so laugh at it, but I could seriously see some a superhero on roller skates or a skateboard or a motorized anything. It's just seriously. But okay, I'm struggling to digest my dinner here, so I'm just going to sort of sit here and bloat and talk a little bit. Uh, okay, look at these. Well, anyway, Marvel Comics says anyway. I lost track of where I was going. As their title, the New Warriors. They've turned it into the new social justice warriors. I'm not kidding you. This is bleed through your eyes awful. And remember this. This is not a joke. I am not making a joke. The people that are writing this are not making a joke. The people drawing it, the people who made it, it's not a joke. So let's see if I can find it. Okay. First of all, they have twins, African American, dark skinned, of course, and they're named Snowflake and Safe Space. Snowflake, the girl, has ice powers and makes ice shurikens to throw at people. And she identifies as gender neutral. Safe Space has the ability to make force fields, but only to protect other people. He can't hide behind them himself. Don't ask me why. And let's see here. Let's see New Warriors. comic travesty. New Warriors comic travesty. Let's see here. And they got one fat character, one fat girl who's she's basically a pudgy teenage Dora the Explorer. She has a magic backpack that's a bottomless portal space. She can pull stuff out of that she needs. And she claims to have gotten her powers from God, but not the God you're thinking of. And there's let's see here. Let's see. Good Lord. I'm looking for the article I was reading. It was in Facebook, of course. Uh, there's one who accidentally got Morbius living vampire's powers. He calls himself B negative, and he's emo goth, and he's obsessed with 1990s culture. And there's one who has the superpower of being perpetually connected to the internet. And well, you see where this is going. Basically, whoever's writing this, basically they're the new social justice warriors, and we're supposed to absolutely positively take these guys seriously. And what the heck? Just why? Ugh. Just bleeding through the eyes thinking about it. And they're doing this unironically. That's the terrifying part. You probably. I'm picturing some horn rim. I'm picturing horn rim glasses, toucan colored hair, ring through the nose, and perpetual bitch face standing there. Well, we're doing it with throwing it back in their faces. They call us snowflakes, so we're doing it unironically just to throw it back in their faces. Punch to the face. Ah, jeez. And you look at this, and this is why comic book fans are going. The comic book industry is dead. Oh, brother, what can you say? Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Snowflake, safe space. B negative is their vampire member. Uh, it's, it's just. Uh, the comics industry has been taken over by people who hate the comics fandom. They hate they hate comics. They hate the fandom, and they are outraged that they are expected to provide the fandom with a product that the fandom wants. And they've been talking about in articles. They're saying, well, the fandom is too privileged. They want what they want, but they need to let directors make movies, the kind of movies that they need to see. And yeah, okay, this just I could think of other ways to shoot myself in the crotch with a shotgun, but You be you, honey. Because, look, suppose you had a steak restaurant. Suppose you had gone to this steak restaurant, you know, once, about once a month, your entire life, and your father before you. And you come in there one day, and there's a whole new staff running the restaurant. It's still called the steakhouse, but you come in and you sit down, and they try to serve you a plate full of kale. You say, "But I didn't order this." And he said, "Well, we're subverting expectations." And you go, I didn't come here to have my expectations subverted. I came here to have a steak. I've been a customer here for years, my entire life. Give me the serve me the way I've been served before. I came here for a steak dinner. He said, and well, and then the chef comes out and says, "Oh, you think you're an expert on food, are you? You think you're a gourmet? You think you blah 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 blah. You think you're a nutritionist? I know what you need, and I know what you love. Eat your kale. How long do you think that restaurant would stay in business?" It drives me crazy that these people talk about the fandom as if it was some random group of freaks that was being an annoyance off to the side. No, these are the fandom. These are the people that buy your product. If you do not give them the product they want, they will not buy it, and you will go broke, and you will starve and die. What god did the Pudgy Hammer Space Backpack Girl get her powers from? She doesn't say. Well, just not yours. And what they're basically trying, these new warriors are basically trying to spit in the face of the fandom that's been complaining about their SJW shenanigans for the past 10 years. Look, I was when I was a kid, getting a comic was a rare treat. Once in a blue moon. It was only after I became an adult and started, wasting my extra money that I had a lot of, big. I had at one point I had huge piles of comics. I ended up giving them all away and throwing them away actually because I had one of these epiphanies. Oh, these are cluttering up my life, and got rid of them. God only knows how many thousands of dollars in collectibles I basically hauled to the curb. But oh my, I just oh my, what can I say? Uh, the the comics industry has always had problems. Always had agitators, people in it that thought their crap didn't stink. Just like the restaurant industry has always had snotty, self-entitled chefs getting bent out of shape when the customer asks for their steak to be well done instead of rare. But it's never been this bad, and the stories were at least coherent and likable, and it's like building a sandcastle and having some drunk come along and piss on it. This is it's basically this is a perfect storm right now. You got the coronavirus ripping up and down through countries all over the place. Everybody's panicking. Everybody's closing up shop. And restaurants are closed. Movie theaters are closed. This is closed. That is closed. Everything's closed. And a lot of countries are getting more uptight, and well, basically up until this point, the the snowflake warriors have been able to get away with what they're doing because even if they totally alienate the audience at home, they can ship it off across the seas and and still make a fair chunk of change. They can take their crappy movies and their crappy comics and their crappy other stuff and take it over to like China or to Asia, and just so many people out there, they may act, that somebody eventually buys the crap. And let's it's I read once an article that basically said one of the strongest exports our country has is B movies. So we've not exactly encouraged a lot of high demand, high quality tastes in connoisseurs of American culture abroad. So, but now they're finding out, hey, China's shut down. Nobody's going to the movie theaters in China. Nobody's running down to the comic shops in China. Not right now. And you know, bye bye goes their holdout position. And they're suddenly finding out that the home box office still matters. It's really rough out there too. It's getting rough out there. A friend of mine is the author of How to Be Homeless. She's saying she was close to getting a job, and they flat out told her, we're postponing any hiring for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And another place was saying, oh, we're not hiring anybody at all. It doesn't look like we're going to be hiring anybody at all because of this. And this coronavirus, this Wuhan virus, is even though it's not packing the death toll that like the Spanish flu or anything, it's having a massive economic impact. And those down at the bottom of the rung, like the lady I'm talking about, it is hitting her pretty hard. When you're already dangling from the bottom rung, the last thing you need is somebody shaking it until your fingers come loose. Her art quality is starting to jump up a little bit. She's a friend of hers gave for her, sent her a present and got her a drawing tablet for her computer. So she's able to, she's starting to tinker around a bit with color and stuff. So, I'm like, I've been encouraging her for ages to, what she does is she draws her comics in pencil and then just scans them, and it really doesn't look very good. And I've been saying, you go find somebody, you let somebody ink and letter these comics for you, and you would have something really marketable. But she's not exactly jumping on the opportunity. Uh, okay. Have I seen any good anime lately? I've seen the latest episode of My Hero Academia. It's only up to the La Brava story on Crunchyroll. To the Gentle Criminal and La Brava. It's interesting is that the guys that talk about it. He said there's apparently I've heard it said this way. Is this a pun in Japanese? Said the entire language is in Japanese is a pun. And they're right. The Japanese language, from what I'm learning, is just passively learning here, is that a lot of double meanings in all the words. and making a pun in Japanese is almost the default. For instance, Gentle's name. Gentle, gentle criminal. His power, his quirk, is elasticity. He can make anything turn elastic and rubbery just by touch. Even patches of air. One of his defenses is that he basically turns a disc of air in front of him into an elastic, invisible shield. At one point, he launched Midoriya halfway down a city block. Just boing. But the word gentle in Japanese apparently also means flexible. Ah, see what you did there. Anyway, having to. Interesting thing, my insurance company, for some reason, gave me 3 free months of Amazon Prime. Pardon. I get all the benefits of that. I get free movies and free books, and also I get to get the free the Amazon Prime delivery and all that stuff. The Amazon Prime delivery is probably why Molina Healthcare gave me 3 free months. Because I can order, things like bandages and medicine and other things through Amazon.com, and with Amazon Prime, it's cheaper. But I also end up with 3 free months of free movies and books, and yesterday I was going through it, beep 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 beep, beep picking out movies and series and stuff. I'm going to sit down and watch. I'm finally going to break down and watch the My Little Pony movie. I'm sorry. I got to say, I mean, let's put it this way. The reason that I got on board with My Little Pony in the first place is because Lauren Faust took it. She did something incredibly unique and original with it. And the movie, just from watching the trailers and reading the synopsis and stuff, it's almost blatant that the people, the CEOs were trying to push the show back to its 1980s roots, where it most certainly does not belong. I'm going to watch it, look at the eye candy, and sneer at the substandard writing. Okay, high school prodigies have it easy even in another world. I can't say I've seen that one. I'm planning on watching Dr. Stone. About it's set in and the world gets swept by a petrification ray that turns everybody to stone, and then thousands of years later, turns nearly everybody to stone, and thousands of years later, this super genius kid wakes up, in the distant future, and humanity's going back to the Stone Age, humor, and he's trying to get humanity back up to the space age, because doggone it, he was going to be an astronaut, and he's not going to let anything like the collapse of civilization stop him. This is an interesting premise, but not gotten around to watching even the first episode yet. I'd like to catch the next season. I've only caught one season of what is it called? My Life as a Slime. My Reincarnation as a Slime, something like that. It's an isekai. For those of you who don't know, an isekai an isekai is an anime or manga about somebody who gets transported to another world as a chosen champion of some sort. It's often done with a video game theme to their powers and everything else. But uh, my life as a slime. This guy, he dies in a street mugging. He gets stabbed, and when he wakes up, he's a slime. Well, the Japanese would call it a slime. Anybody else would call it a jelly, a little round ball of gelatin. And he proceeds to min max the crap out of everything. And the next thing you know, before even the first season is over, he's a king of the hobgoblins, and he's managed to leverage himself like a half dozen magical powers. But he's still a little blue ball of jello. And I haven't seen the second season of that yet. I'd like to sit down and watch that. You know, time flies when you're having fun, even when you're not. Too old, running out of life, running out of time. But what was another one? I forget what it was called, but it's about there's a weird premise. Okay, it's an isekai again. The hero is a pro wrestler. He also happens to be an animal lover. He's very fond of animals, and his plan was, he was at a championship meet, a championship bout, and his plan was is after he won the championship, he was going to retire and start up his real dream, a pet shop. And just as he's about to, body slam his competition into the mat, he gets summoned to another world. Poof, disappears in midair, just as he's jumping off the ropes, and and he appears, and the princess proceeds to inform him that they have summoned him to be the champion to go out and slay these terrible beasts that were preying upon, that were threatening the kingdom. He's like, beasts, like animals, and she's, yes, these horrible animals that are destroying our, and this, like triggers him seriously, because he hears that, he hears the words, "We want you to kill animals." He grabs the princess, jumps in and pile drives her into the ground, leaves her upside down with her butt up in the air, knocked unconscious, and then has to run for his life as the guards try to mob him. He ends up teaming up with a cat girl and a werewolf and starting his pet store, which he starts stocking by going out and taming the monsters that they brought him to this world to eradicate. And I only saw like 2 episodes of it. It's weird as heck and hilarious. And I can't remember the name of it for my life. But we're seeing, definitely we're seeing. I'm like, I have never seen a hero pile drive a princess into her own red carpet before. Unbefreaking believable. Oh my. I'm feeling a little bloated. I eat too much. It's my birthday. I can get away with it. Even if it's not my birthday, I can still get away with it. It's just that I like being able to justify it with my birthday today. I'm 49. Before you ask, I'm 49. One of those wonderful ages where you're just 1 year too young for whatever benefits come from being 50. The next 10 years are going to be a real joy. I'm old. As I get older, I'm scared. I really am, because my parents are up in their 70s, and I am not prepared for them to pass on. Not on the least. They'll probably live into their 90s, but still, it worries me to think about it. Because in my current situation, I don't even have pants to wear. Do you understand what I'm saying? I couldn't even I couldn't go to the funeral. I have I don't know how I'm going to cope with it, because I'm going to my shame. I'm going to whenever it happens. I'm not going to be able to do anything, and my whole family's just going to come flying apart at the seams, because I ought to be able to be there. Because family is more important than anything. Even despite the fact that I can't even fit in a vehicle anymore, that I can barely walk, and that I don't even have clothes to wear. I've got like cut off sweatpants and some t-shirts, and a robe, and a couple of hospital gowns. That's my wear. That's my clothes. That's my wardrobe. And I can't even wear shoes anymore. I used to have flip flops, but my feet are too swollen to fit in them anymore. So I am a shut in, and despite as well as being constantly on the financial edge, I'm literally going to have to sit out, unless something drastic changes in my life. And I'm talking a massive sea change in my life. In my life, in my health, in my circumstances. I'm literally going to have to sit out my own parents' funerals, and I'm never going to be able to forgive myself for that, and my family is probably never going to be able to forgive me for it either. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday. You're getting closer to dying. Happy birthday to me. Okay. Okay, we got four people in channel. We got Mr. Cartoon Critic, and the other three have not said anything. All right, you lurkers, come out of the shadows. We know you're there. We know you're there. We have ways to make you talk. Speak. Like I've been saying, I'm going to be experimenting. I'm going to try and make some speed paint. They call them speed paints, where basically you film yourself drawing something and then play it back at like double speed. In the background when you do the show. I'm still figuring out. I've got I figured out how to record. Myself drawing something. I haven't figured out how to edit the videos. Increase the speed, or any add anything else to it. Haven't quite figured that out yet. That's right. Everything I'm doing, everything I'm doing right now it's a game for a younger man. It's a game for a man half my age and in far better health. I'm trying to win at a game that I can't even play. It sort of eats at me right now. I've reached that age where birthdays are not sources of joy and fun anymore. I don't even can't even really enjoy the cake. The cake's tasty, by the way. It's quite tasty cake. It's quite tasty chocolate cake. Got it from Warren's IGA, home of tasty cake makers. But I ate the tasty cake, and if I was about like 12 years old, absolute bliss. But I'm 49 and finished half of the oversized piece I got, and realized it had gone from being an enjoyment to an obligation to finish it. So yay. I've really got to be careful here because I'm pushing close to getting myself depressed again. Getting myself down. If I talk long enough, I can do that. Because I'm ad-libbing this. I don't have a script here. We work without a net. Ah! Biggest part of life, biggest part of being old. The first thing I'm learning about being old is that the first part of being old is that you spend more time seeing old stuff you used to love being ruined by neglectful hands. You spend more time seeing things go away than you see new things coming in. It gets to you. Thank you, Anthrazil. How do bedridden relatives manage what? Manage what? Manage how do bedridden? Would bedridden relatives already have people taking care of them? I'm in that gray area, because I'm not in a wheelchair yet. I'm not living in somebody else's spare room. I'm barely maintaining the semblance of autonomy and independence. So you're a bachelor living on his own. You should be freewheeling. You should be perfectly, free to do anything. And just, no. I think my family finally accepted. Hey, guess what? He's not going to be going out jogging anytime soon. And finally getting that family outings. Even the special ones like holidays are kind of out of the question for me. Because unless they're willing to strap me to the hood of the car and just like a dead moose just to get me there and back. Yeah. Happy B Day, happy B Day. I guess I'm in. On the other hand, it's kind of a less than happy day. Daggone it! Yesterday I was supposed to go to the doctor's office. I finally figured out how to get transportation that I need. I just basically I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, calling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally talked to somebody at Molina that I told them, just get me get me a wheelchair accessible van. Can you do that? I don't ride a wheelchair, I explained, but I do need a wheelchair accessible van. And he said, okay, call us back tomorrow morning. We'll make sure that we can get this for you. And I said, okay. And I called him back the next morning, and he said, we got it. And I said, great. And I waited, and I went home, and I'm sitting here, and I waited. Tuesday, I called him on Monday, and figured that out. Great. And then I went off to bed. And don't sleep on any particular schedule, so I slept in the middle of the day. Then Tuesday comes along, and I'm like, okay, and I got up and I showered and I brushed my toofers and combed my beard and got all dressed and everything. Oh, for crying out loud! Hold on. That was task easy. The people that mow my lawn, or will be mowing my lawn, starting the 29th of this month. See, pop. Just. I hate this time of year now. I used to like spring, but now April. Come April, you got the IRS, you got the federal taxes and state taxes, and then the mowing starts. With this company, that's like $50-$60 a mow. And so my just my finances, my everything just 1-2 punch to the nuts over and over, and it doesn't let up. I'm just hoping that at the end of the month I have enough money to send the lot owners, the landlord, a lot payment. My lot rent. I've been meaning to say, but every time I turn around, it seems like something else is about to pop up out of the woodwork, demanding more money. It never stops, and the efforts I'm taking to try and plump, just beef up my income revenue is just not working. Killing me slowly, an inch at a time. They're giving these people who are hoarding toilet paper all sorts of crap. But let's back this truck up, okay? Let's back this truck up. Where the hell do we get off judging somebody else for buying too much of something? You know, well, they're buying it up, and the little old ladies can't get their TP. Why the hell did you let your little old lady live in a house where she doesn't have TP? I'm sorry. It used to be. It used to be. It used to be that people would provide for this. They would make sure to have at least a couple of weeks or a few months of stuff stockpiled away. The Mormons make it a religious practice that you have a year's supply of everything, all your foods and medicines and grooming material, grooming stuff and hygiene stuff. A year's worth for every member of the household. Uh, but nowadays, everybody acts as if the magic produce fairy is going to come along, wave a wand, and refill the shelves every morning. And when he doesn't, surprise! They freak out and start screaming bloody murder about the last person to buy the last roll of toilet paper. Yeah, these people are greedy opportunists. But you go too far down that trail, yeah. So were the guy buying up all that toilet paper has agreed to resell it at a higher price. Oh, wait a minute, we're talking about the store owner. Nobody has any faith in nobody has any faith in either God or the humble economic systems, the humble systems which he set in place that keep this universe ticking over. Like supply and demand, and the hand of the marketplace, and and all those things that work just as fine, just as long as we leave them the hell alone. That could be a study in the history of stupid mistakes, entitled "Leave it the hell alone. Stop poking it." Here's the idea. Here's an idea. What should we do about all these people hoarding toilet paper? Nothing. In a few months, when their toilet paper, when the value of their toilet paper drops back down to normal, they'll have learned an important lesson. And in the meanwhile, all those foolish people who waited until the last minute, every single week to get enough toilet paper for the next week, will have learned an important lesson too. And I hate to break it to you, the world's not going to end if you have to wash your ass. Think about it. It is really kind of, you really kind of, yeah, if you think about it. We mock we mock Europeans for having a bidet, but hello, they're washing our behinds. We're just wiping with a piece of paper and calling it a minute, calling it a day. Which one is more sanitary? Hello? If it comes right down to it, you got a washcloth. Come on. Come on! You got stacks of napkins and old newspapers and everything else under the sun. People used to wipe with corn cobs, for crying out loud. You precious snowflake. Man, dried corn cobs. We all need a swift kick in the pants. And nobody's willing to sit back and let either God or his, or God or the gods of the marketplace handle it. Like they will, as long as we mind our own business and just back off. It's nobody's business how much toilet paper I buy. It sure as heck isn't the government's. It's not your business. I don't care how bad you think of me if I buy up all the last of the toilet paper. I might be buying it up so I can give it to my neighbors. You don't know what I'm getting it for. And even if I do buy it all up to resell, hey, welcome to the marketplace. The same forces that these people aren't a strange phenomenon. They're not some alien phenomenon. They're following the same rules of a functioning, healthy marketplace that we follow on the more normal days. And like I pointed out, the guy that buys up 10,000 rolls of toilet paper and stockpiles them in a house to resell at a higher price, he's no different than the store owner who bought the dang things in the first place and sold them at a markup. And the people that start out condemning the hoarder and the price gouger inevitably work their way down to the storekeep. So what are you doing selling these things for a profit at a time of a crisis? Well, I hate to break it to you, but profit is what keeps a company in business. You have a company that stays open in the middle of a hurricane area. Can you imagine how, think about Los Angeles, or New Orleans, when the hurricane hit New Orleans, what a disaster area that was, just utterly lawless. Can you imagine the sheer risk involved for the business owner to stay open in the middle of that territory? And all these other, roofing. A good example, when Hurricane Hugo tore through. Was it Hurricane Hugo? Well, who cares what the name of the damn thing was? It tore through Florida, ripped it a new asshole, and ripped Miami a new one, and tore the rooftops off of thousands of buildings. And the geniuses running Florida put in price controls, said that you couldn't raise the prices, for roofing contracting. What was the end result? It took years for most of Miami to get its rooftops back. Meanwhile, other cities and towns, who had been in the path of, they were up and running in months. What was the difference? The price controls. Think about it. You were basically asking all these roofing companies to stay in business in an area where there was no law, no order, no plumbing, no electricity, and all the utilities, all the utilities we take for granted were on the fritz, and they were supposed to stay in and not make an extra dime. Not even hazard pay, because that would be gouging. And so what did all the roofing companies across the country do? They stayed away in droves because they couldn't afford to, if there had been a huge profit to be made, they would have come. They would have built the roofs, they would have fixed the roofs, and then they would have left. And, hey, they would have been more expensive, but there would have been a rooftop. That's how government intervention works. It doesn't. It takes advantage of people's misguided and ill-informed sense of unfairness. A child's sense of, no fair. They're charging more. That's all they understand. And predictably, it makes things worse. Now with this toilet paper thing, they leave it well. What have they done? They've gone in. They barred the guy from reselling the stuff. Oh, great! So now there's no toilet paper available at all at any price. Then later on, they sent in the government, looted the guy. He's not going to make a. He's not even getting back what he spent, which is against the Constitution, by the way. Asset forfeiture, for the sake of eminent domain, has to be at a fair market price. But they're not paying it. They're just taking it. Today they're looting him. Tomorrow they'll be looting you for having 5 too many rolls in your cabinet. Or stealing your grandma's canning from last year because, they're stockpiling food. They're hoarding food. It's called storing for the winter, you jackasses. If they left it alone, like I said, first of all, the reason the guy could do this hoarding, the reason the guy could strip the shelves of dozens of stores of everything, because the store owners were forbidden from raising prices themselves. The natural impulse, it's called supply and demand. When you try to thwart supply and demand, even in a crisis, the backlash is always disastrous. What would have happened if the government and public opinion had been told to go pound sand? The crisis happens. People start buying up toilet paper and hand lotion. The stores raise their prices considerably. Because first of all, they're having to deal with all these a-holes coming in, buying up everything all at once. And customers are a joy to deal with in ordinary circumstances, aren't they? So raising the price, you call that a service fee if you like. They say they double or triple the price. Suddenly, these people start reining it in. They go, "Whoa, I'm not going to pay this much for this stuff," and they only buy a fraction of what they were going to get. They go home, and surprise, there's still product on the shelf. The demand has dropped. The store owner lowers the price, and all the people who weren't first come, first served now actually have a chance to get some product. But because of anti-gouging laws, the store owners can't do that. At most, the best they can do is restrict the number of purchases each person can make, and that's a joy to deal with. You got somebody comes in, brings in their truck, plans to load it up, and they're told they can only buy 2 boxes. Oh yeah, that's going to fly real well. They just work around it by having all their family members come through and buy 1 or 2 each. Voila! But just leaving it be, the price goes up. The product, the supply and demand balance. The supply and demand balance themselves naturally, and at the end of it, there's still product on the shelf. The way these people want to do it, the fair people want to do it. When they're done, there's nothing on the shelves. There's no toilet paper available for anyone at any price. This is why we have a toilet paper crisis right now. This is why you can't even find it on Amazon. Believe me, I was trying to look. I'm down to like a roll and a half. My own fault and nobody else's. And these people, product after product, not available at this time, not available at this time. If we ship it now, it'll arrive to you in April 29th. I'm not going to hold it in that long. But, why is this happening? Because the government came and tried to muck around with supply and demand, and supply and demand kicked the government's ass, just like it always does. And then, we go to phase 2, the hoarders, the people that buy up all this stuff. They either buy it up, out of panic, or maybe they got an epic supply of Mexican food. That's just as equally possible. Personally, I think that this Halloween is going to be the most toilet papered one in history. Followed by we'll have a new tradition on November 1st, the harvesting of the TP. Apple-cheeked little housewives out in the yard with baskets, plucking the streamers of TP off the trees and off the house to take inside to use later. Waste not, want not. La, 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 la. But okay. I'm backing off from that mental image. Okay, but we get to the hoarders. The hoarders. They're doing what is only sensible, because if they don't hoard it, somebody else will. The demand is through the roof. The supply has been artificially, maintained, and the price has been artificially suppressed. So they're going to come in and clean house. Just as you or I, if they suddenly dropped pizzas to like, $1 each, there wouldn't be a pepperoni to be found in the tri-state area. You know it, and I know it. We're not special. These people are, these people aren't unnaturally greedy. They're normal, and they're doing what is economically sensible. They're collecting up buy low, sell high. That's not opportunism. That's not evil. That's even when it disinconveniences you, it's not evil. We got a really shallow definition. It inconvenienced people. That's their definition of evil. It's not. It's no. They bought low and they plan on selling high. And then, even if they did, they sell it. They sell it at $10 a roll. Hey, it's being sold and it's being distributed, and the supply and demand balance is being met. And eventually, people will stop buying it from them at $10, and they'll eventually have to drop it down to a sensible price, or even eventually give it away. And if they've made a couple of dollars in profit, that is not a sin. And if you quit showing me these photographs of little old ladies and little old men wandering up and down the aisles of, the empty aisles of stores. How can we do this to these poor little old ladies? You jackasses! Why didn't you stockpile? Why didn't you make it a regular practice to have at least a month's toilet paper on supply at any given time? And what do you want to bet that those little old lady and little old man are just like anybody else? They got plenty of toilet paper at home. They're just panicking. Do not try and bullshit me, okay? Don't snow me. I got a shovel and I can use it. Clear a path. Now, instead, what do? We go and we give the government permission to loot the hoarders. Great. So instead of being instead of the toilet paper going through the marketplace and following the chain of supply and demand and need to getting to where it actually needs to go, it's going into the hands of the government. These same people who can't deliver mail in a reliable fashion. Take three guesses as to which houses get first consideration. And if it rhymes with congressman's family, congratulations, give yourself a gold star and stick it to your forehead. That's what happens every time the government gets permission to loot its people. It starts out, they loot the people that nobody likes. That was what that's how they started in Nazi Germany. The first use they got out of the Jews was that they blamed the Jews for everything that went wrong with their economy, and then they went and looted the Jews of all their possessions and all their money. Then they threw them in the ovens. Today it's people. It's mean, nasty, grinchy people who we all have decided to have 5 minutes hate. Who are being screwed over by the government and by the corporations who won't let them sell, and by the government who takes everything that they have and doesn't even reimburse them for it. Tomorrow, it'll be you. And let me say it again. It's all because nobody, for all that it's done, nobody has any faith in it. Nobody has any faith in capitalism. Nobody has any faith in the operating of a free marketplace. Laissez-faire capitalism. We've never had a fully 100% purely capitalist economy anywhere. Just as we've never had a purely 100% socialist or communist or Marxist government anywhere. But, which one is preferable is self-evident by the results. The closer we get to, true Marxism, the faster everything swirls down the toilet. The closer we get to a truly free market capitalist society, the more prosperous and the better it is. And the vast portion of capitalism is just those in power leaving damned well enough alone, regardless of what their personal emotional feelings are. My mom sent me a letter. Has been emailing back and forth with me on this. Well, as Christians, we shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, wait a minute. As Christians, we shouldn't be cheering on as the government loots somebody of their property. As Christians, we should be going out ourselves and helping our little old ladies and little old men in our neighborhood be prepared for crises. Not getting mad because the grasshopper is always righteously indignant that the ant is hoarding all the food and gouging his unfortunate self. It's mean and nasty and unpleasant. Hey, guess what? Most of the perfectly legitimate and moral things in the world, that's the thing of it, is that this is the reason that morality is such a headache to teach to people. Because the stuff that looks the cruelest and the most hurtful and the most hateful is, in the long run, the most just, the most benevolent, the most compassionate. We wouldn't, if we had just minded our own dang business and kept the government out of it, the whole toilet paper looting thing would have been over in a couple of days. People would have felt stupid and either asked for a refund or started passing out free rolls to their neighbors. No, we're meddling, and we're more interested in punishing people who behave in ways that look mean to us. A child always thinks that getting a paddling is mean and not fair. A child always thinks that being expected to play by the rules is unfair, especially when those rules, particularly when those rules, are against their advantage. Leaving the whole hoarding situation and price gouging situation alone, cutting out the name calling, backing off, and letting the chips fall where they may, that sounds so heartless and so cruel, doesn't it? But it's the one thing that you can do in a situation like this that works. And furthermore, where are you getting off demanding the government go and fix this all for you? If you're so worried about those people that are doing without toilet paper, why aren't you going out and loaning them a bog roll? Come on! You can't tell me you haven't got toilet paper in your house. And if you haven't got toilet paper in your house, why haven't you been preparing? I've said this before. The Mormons may have gotten their theology off a flying saucer, but they got one thing right. One of the things they practice as a religious practice, aka devoutly, is that every last one of them has a year's supply of everything in their house, or stored away someplace where they're not telling anybody, if they're smart, really smart. They have 1 year supply of everything. I guarantee you there's not been a single Mormon doing a run on the TP on the news. What a crying shame that nobody else seems to have a tradition like this one in their culture or in their past. Nobody else has that. What I wouldn't give to see Baptists give up their casserole dishes and their Sunday and their monthly brunches to go out and start stockpiling and supplying and and preparing for when the storms of life come through. How much more could they help people in the community if they themselves were prepared for a crisis at all turns? But no, we're not even prepared for there to be a shortage of toilet paper. God help us when it's something important. But it's sanitation and hygiene. Wash your behind. If all else fails, You take a dump, you flush, you step into the shower, you wash your butt off. Assuming you just don't have like a 5 foot high pile of napkins from the delivery guy. Come on, seriously. They really don't recommend you flush like paper towels. Paper towels are designed to hold together when they get wet. Toilet paper is designed to dissolve in water. I want you to think about what people did before they had mass produced toilet paper. Welcome to the return of the Sears catalog. I guarantee you have at least one phone book floating around in your house someplace. You'll live. God help us if we have an epidemic of diarrhea in this country. Those idiots will be out there stockpiling all the nasal spray. Now, this is interesting. Woolworths has introduced a shopping hour, an early shopping hour for the elderly. They can come in early, shop for an hour, get their little old lady and little old man stuff, and be on their way before the thundering herd shows up. That sounds like a sensible practice anyway. Of course, now you've got somebody who's got to be at the front door. Can I see your license, please? I swear to you, I'm 80. Yeah. I can see the makeup from here. Seriously, Come on, seriously. Hmm. Digging through these, digging through these. I'm serious. I'm just tired of people knee-jerk attacking anybody that you know goes off the beaten path. Anybody that dares jump the rails and start plowing their own path through the wilderness. Moo, 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 bah, bah, bah. Stop it. If it was any other product in the world. I think most of the people that are criticizing these hoarders are basically people that wish they'd thought of it at first. And it's not the hoarders that came, it's not the quote unquote gougers that came up with this. They're not the ones that invented that caused the crisis. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell everybody decided that toilet paper was the go-to item for an epidemic. I mean, if it was the stomach flu, I could almost understand. Now, to be fair, toilet paper is one of those darn things that it runs out. You turn your back and poof, it's gone. So yeah, I can understand why some people would want to pack more than a single 2-pack. But where is this momentum coming from? Footage of people literally racing their shopping carts through the store, as the store to get at the huge cartons of Scott tissue in the back of the store. What is this? I don't understand it. What motivated them to think that? How long are they expecting to be in there? Now, to be fair, having a year's supply of anything is common sense. And to be fair, that doesn't occur to anybody until the crisis is at hand. How many things do you suddenly realize? Suppose a freak blizzard was coming up on your city or town within the next 24 hours. How many things would you suddenly realize? Crap, I'm almost out of X, Y, and Z. And then you think about it and you realize, oh crap, this storm's going to be so big, I'm going to be trapped for at least a week. And this is a coronavirus. We're talking a pandemic. A pandemic. There's a difference between a pandemic and an epidemic, by the way. I just learned this difference myself. An epidemic is basically where a lot of people in one area suddenly get whomped with a disease. A pandemic is where the disease just starts popping up all over the frickin' place. Not a lot of people all at once. Or in one area, or even just a few people here and there and everywhere, but it's all over. And yeah, coronavirus is a pandemic because it's popping out of nowhere like one of those Gopher games, whack-a-mole, and but with a coronavirus, we're talking more than the risk of illness or quarantine. We're talking about societal shutdown. Right now, the stores are shut down, the theaters are shut down, the restaurants are shutting down, and how many other things? That's just the first wave of things being shut down, and it's already starting to seriously inconvenience people. So yeah, and a shutdown like this could persist. The aftershocks could persist for weeks or even months after the disease is passed. So yeah, maybe buying a year's supply of Scott towels isn't all that crazy. People are very bad at evaluating risks, or quantities for that matter. But let's just have a little. Let's take all the sympathy we're talking, all this supposed human empathy we're supposed to be whipping up. We have none for the people who are desperately trying to do what they can to provide for themselves and their family in a crisis at the last minute. And we've refused to admit they might have a point about it. Because admitting they might have a point about it means that we have to admit that, oh, gee, crap, we haven't done anything to prepare. We're all so ill prepared. In fact, it was one of the parables of the Bible. It was talking about it was a is talking about what some people think it was talking about Christians at the end. The 12 virgins. Half of them prepared and had oil. Half of them prepared and had oil ready for their lanterns for the wedding, and the other half foolishly had let themselves run out. And he said, lend us some of your oil. And they said, but if we do, the first group said to the second group, lend us some of your oil so we can light our lanterns. And he said, but if we do, we won't have enough for our own. And so they ran off to the marketplace to buy more oil. And by the time they got back, the party was already inside and going strong. Interesting thing about that is that most people, some people think it's referring, to Christians at the end. No, it's actually referring to the nations. The bride of Christ is the church. The 12 maidens are not representative of the church or of Christians or of believers. It's representatives of the nations of the world. It's one day Christ is going to return and claim his bride. And some nations are going to be ready, and some nations are not. Pardon. Hello, Inali. And thank you. Thank you. I'd like to say it's lovely to be 49, but okay, well, as opposed to the alternative, I don't know. Okay, now the coronavirus, everybody keeps comparing it to the flu. No. Okay, the flu has the first difference that I've read about in the coronavirus versus the flu. The coronavirus, the flu has a death rate for new cases of 0.1%. The reason there are so many thousands of people who die of the flu every year is because there are so many people that get it. Practically everybody gets the flu. And sometimes on an annual basis. It's a real drag. But the coronavirus, the flu has a rate of a death rate of 0.1%. The coronavirus has a death rate of 3.5%, or 35 times. what the flu virus does. So yeah, it's a not a lot of people have been infected, proportionately have been infected yet, but it's catching up fast, and well, thank God that everybody's jumping at it as fast as they can, trying to stop it, trying to get a vaccine, trying keep everybody from getting too sick too fast, and well, there you go. Uh, but it is kind of a genuine, serious worry. Now, there are some people that are saying there are politicians, they're trying to claim it's some sort of conspiracy. No, I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy by the Chinese or by the Democrats or anything like that. No, what I'm going to say is that the Chinese and the Democrats both are opportunists. They didn't think this up. They didn't come up with it. They didn't cause it. But boy, howdy, they're going to jump in the saddle and ride as far as they can get. So little bit of temperance there. Yeah, we've been, this video is officially demonetized because you talked about the coronavirus. Uh, you know, free speech at work. Free speech at work here on YouTube. If there's any justice in the world, every last one of the jerks running YouTube and Google is going to be stuck with a spouse that does it. Every time they speak, the spouse goes, "Shut up, they don't need to hear that." I think that would be like, divine comedy levels of justice right there. Mm. I'm also yelling, big yawns. Big yawns, yay. I wish there was more of me. I wish I had my, I wish I was younger so bad. For me, it's just a matter of being older now. If I go back like 20 years, that's just a couple of years before my legs started swelling up. In fact, 15 years ago, let's see, I was about 35. About 14 to 15 years ago is roundabout when my legs first started getting a little puffy. I would, what I wouldn't give just to be going back to those days. I was already fat, but I could still walk. I could still run. I could still get on a bicycle and ride. I could have still, if I'd have been more aggressive with it, I could have still managed to get some treatment and maybe have prevented my legs ending up like they are today. If I'd have started back then. But I didn't know what I was dealing with, and neither did the doctors. And they weren't exactly imparting the enlightenment on the matter that I needed. So I ended up like this. Everything else I could live with staying the same, but just get just my legs from 5, 10 years ago. Sorry, I get tired easy. I'm just starting to run out of steam a little bit. Now, Oh my. I'm getting at a loss for what to talk about next. I just sort of tapped for energy and ideas. And I don't, I know I sound heartless about all these people inconvenienced by these shortages. I'll be honest with you. The more it gets pushed in my face, the less sympathy I have. I know it's a drag to go to the store and not be able to get what you need. Dang, do I know it. And I've had, I looked online and can't get what I need. And but it's just not up to dealing with the sanctimony of it. The, spinning out, starting to doze off. Not really getting a lot of solid sleep lately. Can't re- can't rest in my office chair because you can't rest in my chair because my chair is not it's not put together right. It's just broken. My bed is it's starting to come apart at the welds. It's broken and it is not comfortable to lie on. Uh, too many things I need and too many things I need to do to and out of luck, you know. Well, okay. It's been an hour and a half. I've basically run out of steam, so I really need to lie down and take a nap before I try and get back up and try and tackle some illusion of productivity. So, really not anything I can think of at the moment to talk about. It's always been good to have friends online. Well, okay, this is me drifting off. Okay, this has been a great night here. Okay, thank you all for tuning in. Sorry I didn't have more punch to carry out. But we'll see. Maybe after I've slept a little, got back up, we can pick up where we left off. Maybe get some artwork done. Try a few new things I'm thinking about. We'll see if we can go from there. Thank you all for watching. You all take care of yourselves, okay? Good night.